All right, welcome back, y'all. So what's new, buddy?
Oh my goodness, so much is new. So much is new. Everything's great though. Feeling happy.
I guess too.
Yeah, we got some cool new hats.
Are we gonna drop it, or are we gonna do?
Should we hide them? Should
We're
we
gonna
hide the
do
hats?
one of these?
Should we hide the hats?
We don't have any hats on, guys. We don't have any hats. You can't have one.
Nope, they're secret. Yeah, these don't even exist. These are 2 of 2.
Yeah,
is what they are. Custom hats here.
Yeah.
No, things have been great. I've been doing well. Glad to be back home.
Yeah.
And it's good to come back and it's warm.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you leave and it was like a little cold, like 40s, 50s.
How warm was it?
In North Carolina, I mean, average temperature was like between like 70 and 80 degrees. So it was warm.
Honestly, I was a little bummed when I was in Los Angeles at the same time, and I thought it was going to be like 95 degrees. I'd only had pants out. Like, I still hadn't even brought out any of my, like, summer clothes yet. And I'm like, I am going to be sweating up a storm. It was like 65, 75 degrees there.
We did
sunny, though. Really sunny.
We ended up doing the opposite because when we went down to Florida in December, it was kind of cold. And so we ended up, like, bringing a little extra, a little too much, some shorts, some pants. It's like, yo, I don't know what this weather's going to be like. And where we were waterfront. We weren't beachfront, but we were right on the ocean, and it was windy. Like, super windy. And the house that we were staying at was on pylons. So depending on, like, the gust, you could feel it.
Really
you could feel the house moving. But the worst of it was the first night. There was a bad storm, and I mean, I thought the world was gonna end. It was like
that bad.
It was like yellow and red flashing out there, and like the rain was blowing into the window so hard that it was like.
So that's why you mentioned at the gym when we were talking about the hurricanes, and I'm like, that's really specific. I mean, you're not wrong, but I'm like, it's odd that you would even think about that.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
Because we're looking at like, oh man, it might be nice to live down here. These houses are so great, and you're on this little island. But yeah, they've dealt with, 40 plus hurricanes over like the last century.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and it's wild because there's a lot of history in that area, Harker's Island.
Yeah.
Because right across there's another little island called Sheep Islands, which is where Cape Lookout is, the lighthouse. And then there's this place where like a Spanish ship wrecked, and there was a bunch of horses on that ship. And to this day, there's wild horses living on that island.
That's crazy.
And they know what to do when the storms come. They know to drink the top of the ocean water, so they're not drinking any of the salt water. Like,
what?
Yeah, these horses
adapted to live in a. That's unbelievable.
They are on the coast of the country. They're all the way as east coast as you can get. There's these wild horses.
I've never heard anything like that. That's nuts.
Yeah, I think it's Shackle something. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. That was fun, and had a good time over on Harker's Island, and then we were there for about 4 or 5 days. Then we went to Pittsburgh for Shikori Hills Fest for Grassroots. That was insane. It was like a utopia there.
So compare it to, because I feel like most of our audience is going to know what Ithaca Grassroots is like. What is it in comparison to that? What are the differences?
So when I think of like going to Grassroots, sometimes I've only gone a couple times. It's a little hectic, especially like when there's a big band playing. Let's like, for example, like Driftwood at the grandstand. I mean, it's tough to get up to the front of the stage, and you're trying to like move in there, and it's a little like people are looking at you like, what are you trying to do? But it was a little different in Shikori Hills. Like, I don't think there's as many people, but still, everybody's crowded up to the front.
I was gonna say, it didn't look like that from the photos. It looked like it was 4 times the size based upon the photos and how close everyone was.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a little. I feel like it's a little smaller. I mean, the stages seemed to be a bit closer to each other, but the big thing is like there was this space where you can just get right up to the front with no problem, and everybody's like, come on up. You know what I mean?
That was pretty sick.
And then camping was great. People just come up to you and start talking to you, sit down in one of your lawn chairs, you know, like, and so you kind of like start to embrace that. And then
They're
you
the
start
best
showing up at
people.
other people's spots.
If you're going to a Grassroots festival, I feel like you just meet the coolest people in the world, and they're always giving you gifts of sorts. They're always trying to, at least. They're always like, "Hey, I have this really amazing gift that you ought to try." I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, there's
I don't know
definitely
you,
some,
dude.
There's some fun bartering over there for sure. How are things though in LA?
LA was cool. So I'm going down there. I went out there for this project that I've been doing. I still don't want to talk too much about it, but essentially, I'll get down to it. It's not that big of a deal. The thing that I noticed was I'm very good at conveying my message on disabilities through TikTok, and I'm very good at reaching young teens and onward. But I don't really know how to talk to a kid. Like, I don't know how they learn. I just am not going to even pretend like I understand how a child retains information. I have no idea. And I had developed a friend through TikTok, actually, Wendy Shulin. She is a board certified teacher in San Diego. She is like just highly credited. She's amazing and one of the sweetest people you ever meet. What we did was she ended up coming to the East Coast and telling me that she was thinking about maybe writing a book or something like that. And then we're like putting the two ideas together, which is let's write a book about disabilities. That's as far into, I won't get into the plot or anything like that, but that's what's happening. So together we put this thing together, and I think that it has a lot of promise. And not only that, everyone we speak to is like, you could take this and do this with it. Like they have all these crazy big ideas, and it's really, really encouraging, where I'm like, holy crap, I didn't think that it was like, I thought it was, we were just going to put out a book and, maybe get a couple sales here and there, and we might do a self-publishing route, but everyone's pushing us to go like the traditional publishing route, pitching it to an agent, having the agent take it over. Like they're pushing us to go that way, which is kind of promising, because that means that the story has to be good. If it was a piece of crap, they'd probably be like, yeah, go self-publishing, you'll do great.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to dig in too much, but while you're talking about that, it almost makes me think how, I mean, books are still great. I love getting books for Lincoln. I like to read myself. I enjoy that. But I mean, technology has taken things to a different place where, I mean, there's a lot more shows, and I can see the development of a book, the right book, quickly.
You're on the money. I have a Zoom meeting tomorrow to talk to someone who has done that in the past.
Nice.
So it's I really could see it go in that direction. And you've certainly have never seen a show about a child with a disability, or an adult with a disability, is really where I feel like it would be more. I really would like to have the person with the disability to be a child, because that way it can, a child can relate to another child.
Right.
And especially like if a disabled child is being able to see another disabled person on TV, it's you never see it. You really don't. It's only until recently to where you start seeing more people in wheelchairs in different shows. For the longest time you didn't. So I think that there's no real. I'm struggling to find the word that I am looking for, but it's just good for a child to see someone that looks like them.
Right.
And it was the same thing. It's with all minority groups. It's like forever there was never a children's show about anyone of African American descent or anything, Spanish descent, whatever. There was never any of that, and it's the same thing with disabilities. You never see a show about someone with disabilities.
Yeah, and yeah, just like you're saying, it's important for kids to see that. I mean, everybody's around, and to be used to people, no matter what they look like, no matter how they get around. It's even funny with Lincoln. He always likes to push you around, and
he's gonna get in trouble someday.
Right, and it's good, and it would be good for kids to know that really that's you shouldn't be pushing a person around if they're in a wheelchair. You know,
Yeah.
they're hanging out. You know, they're relaxing. You know,
But once he gets old enough, it'll be easy to convey that message. And he's just so comfortable with me in a wheelchair. Like that's my buddy, and he doesn't care. He's a kid. He has no societal anything in his head or perception of what someone with a disability is, and that's why I think it's so important. And that's kind of what we touch on a little bit in the book, which is you know, we can still do so many things.
Right.
It's not we're not, you know, we don't get disabled and live the rest of our lives inside of our house or a hospital. It's like that's not what disabilities are anymore. It used to be that way.
I have to remind myself about that all the time. You know, it's funny. I believe it was Tuesday we met up. I had to pick up some. I think I had to drop off your cables. I had like all your cables over here still for a couple weeks, and I had just gotten out of work, and you know, I think I came home for a little bit, and it was like 8 o'clock. And it's funny because me, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like done. I'm ready to go, like do nothing, you know, just relax. And I had told you, I was like, hey, I'm gonna drop that stuff over to you, and not thinking, I'm just assuming, oh yeah, Liam, he's probably just hanging out, you know, just hanging out at home. But I pull up at your place and no van. So I give this guy a call, and he's like, yeah, I'm over at the gym. And I'm like, all right, dang, dude. I'm like, I'm ready to go to sleep.
That's why we're wearing cutoffs,
right?
Because that also you can, I guess, go into it. That it inspired you to get back into the gym after
Literally.
How long?
10 years.
10 years, which is crazy because you look amazing, and you've lost so much weight since previously. We were saying we should talk about that, which is both Moses and I have struggled with our weight like a lot. Yeah. We have both been. I mean, I know I at least was hovering around 240 pounds. I don't know how heavy you ended up getting at your heaviest, but we were talking about it downstairs, how we just have like a pretty bad relationship with food, to be honest with you, where it's like all or nothing sort of deal, where it's like, okay, if we notice that we're getting a little pudgy, we're just like, yep, just gonna stop eating now, which isn't the move, but it's you said it right. As soon as you open that Pandora's box, you're just like, you lose all self-control. I'm the same exact way. I have no self-control when it comes to food.
Yeah, I was talking about like the bottomless pit. You know, as soon as you get one thing, it's like, all right, what's next?
That's my dad's nickname for me.
Yeah,
when I was getting the bottomless pit is what he would call me, and my brother. But my brother at least was an athlete, and he was burning those calories. Me, I was just like, nah, that's how much you're supposed to eat, and then you can play video games and you'll be good. Yeah,
I mean, at my heaviest, and it wasn't that long ago, I was just under 280 pounds.
No way.
Just under 280.
At the very least, it looked better on you, I think.
I wore it pretty well. But a lot of it was like discomfort, you know, just like trying to tie my shoes and like getting up, like just little pains that I had that are not there anymore. It's a big difference.
It's crazy to think at how old
like
were you?
23, 24.
23, 24 years old. You should not be 23, 24 years old complaining about your knees or your ankles or bending over to tie your shoes. You're 23 years old.
Yeah.
It's like there is 23-year-olds were storming the beach at Normandy. Like what? And we can't bend down to tie our shoes. Like I was in the same boat. Like I struggled walking upstairs. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, so I mean, I get in those places here and there, but for the most part, I never want to get to there again. Yeah, you know, and sure, I still appreciate and love food, love trying new foods. You know, some foods that you could say, quote unquote, aren't the best for you. Yeah. But you know, for me, it's just in moderation. You know, just like drinking, right? We like to drink, but we also know we drink too much.
Well, and to be honest with you, dude, that's probably why we were as heavy as we were too. Yeah. We like drinking. Like it was, I come from an Irish Catholic family where you go to church and then you go to the bar after. Like that was my upbringing was, you know, drinking is normal. That's what you do after, you know, a long day or whatever. And I got into that same mindset, and so did, you know, the friends that I was around. So I would just hang around with people. We were going out to bars all the time. So it was, I very quickly started putting on weight until, honestly, I started working for Kevin Newman. And Kevin Newman was a personal trainer back in the day. And he, we were reconning a car or something like that. He's like, bro, I'm 40 years old running circles around you. I remember him saying that, and I'm like, God, you're right. And he's like, I'm gonna get your diet figured out. We're putting a pull-up bar in the new shop that we're going to, and he stuck by that. He set me all up every single day. We would work out for at least 30, 45 minutes. We would go to the gym. I mean, he was a really good friend when it comes to that. Like,
Awesome.
He wasn't afraid to be like, you got to make a change, dude. This is not okay.
Those blue collar guys will do
friend.
it. They'll
That's
keep
a
it
good
real.
friend.
They'll keep it real with you. I remember having those same experiences when I worked construction. This guy Dale, I used to work with, man, every time you come back from layoff, you're getting fatter and fatter. And I remember at the time not really noticing it so much, but yeah, I'd get laid off, drinking all the time, drinking and like eating fast food and pizza go hand in hand. So yeah, just kind of adding that up. But yeah, it's definitely, I understand that background being, a Dominican background. I remember we had a baby shower from my uncle and his wife's baby shower. And in that culture, everybody goes to the baby shower, right? It's not just like, women. It's the kids go, the husbands go, cousins. It's a party. And dude, there were cases and cases of Corona. I remember all the empty Corona bottles at the end. I'm like, this is a baby shower. But yeah, it's
I bet
great.
You the food.
Oh yeah. I mean, my
grandmother. Dominican party? Are you kidding me?
Grandmother throws down. Yeah, she owned a restaurant in the Bronx for a little bit, and eventually took it out to Florida. But yeah, that was always a great time. But I'm glad to get back in the gym. It's wild because it was literally the next day I went there. I think it was it was 2 days after actually. Went over there, signed up, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. But for me, not going in the gym, a lot of it has just been, walking, yoga, push-ups.
Yeah,
and
you've
sit-ups.
been able to do it without the gym. I think that's the other thing. It's like you might not have been in a gym for 10 years, but you were able to lose a ton of weight just on your own. You don't have to buy a gym membership. Like, you can just watch your eating habits and do some push-ups in your room. That's all you need to do.
Yep, I mean, literally, sometimes I think about, I wish I would have went back and documented some of this stuff. But yeah, I dropped close to 100 pounds in less than a year.
I was so embarrassed by my body. I feel like I have 2 or 3 pictures of what I used to look like.
Same.
Like without my shirt on, I wouldn't even take a picture of myself because I was so embarrassed that it got to the point that it did. And I wish that when you're in the moment though, you don't know how far you're going to go. You still have so much self-doubt to where you're like, I don't want to take a picture and have this to remind myself that I've failed. And I think that is where my head was, where I didn't want to even bother taking any pictures because I just figured that I wasn't going to go through with it. Yeah. Because I had said it so many times that I'm going to lose weight, and I never did it. So I'm like, why would I even bother taking pictures until that light switch went off? And, I guess I just didn't realize it until I was, like 30 pounds down, and I'm like, oh boy, I got to start taking a couple pictures so I can see it. It's really encouraging when you start losing weight, and you start losing weight quick. When you're heavy, you dump 20 pounds fast.
Yeah,
real fast.
Yeah, I was always scared to go to the gym too because I didn't want to be out of place being heavier. But going to the gym now and seeing people that are working on themselves, that is such a motivator.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. People starting from ground zero, it's like, get it.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, but that's kind of one of the things, especially when I first got out of the hospital. Like, I was in a lot worse situation. Like, I could still barely move my legs. I still had to pick my legs up and move them when I would go transfer. Like, now I have all this strength in my legs, but before it wasn't like that for a long time. But I still was going to the gym. So when I would go there, I had a big bulky wheelchair and everything. But people would see that, and they would stop me every single time. And they would go, wow, it is so incredible that you're here. You're getting back to it. Like, I remember seeing you here before. I'm just so happy that you're here. And it's encouraging to see. That's one of the parts about going to the gym is I think you do quickly find that you aren't as out of place as you think you are. And everyone's just trying to work on themselves and get better.
Yeah, there's this idea that everybody's like, you know what I mean? But
you get a couple of
those, but everybody's just kind of just doing their thing. Yeah. Especially going in there in the AM, some of the older guys, hey, what's up, man? You know what I mean? Yeah, until they're walking around naked in the locker room.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I gotta go.
That's just social hour for them. You know it.
Oh, they're having the time of their life.
You know it. It's just more. It's more leaning up against a machine and talking to their buddies than anything. Which is cool. Hey,
I was hanging out in the sauna and a couple dudes came in and it was just like chill. I was all right, fellas, you have a good one now.
Just I don't know. I'm. It's gonna be strange because at some point you're gonna get that confidence.
Yeah.
I don't have that confidence.
No.
I'm not going.
No way.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but no, that's. I mean, like, I remember being like middle way or like even the winter when I would after losing a bunch of weight and like not wanting to get up. But a lot of those times when I used to, it's crazy. I used to go hiking at like 5 a.m. January, December. It was cold, and a lot of times in the morning, I used to throw on this video of you. It was an interview or like a story on you when you were getting ready to do your milestone walk.
Oh yeah.
And that was like that used to be my jam right there. That was my pre-workout. Throw that video on. I'm like, all right, we're gonna get it. Especially, I mean, you were out there in the trail sometime with with different adaptive equipment.
That was one of the cool things about working so much with the Kelly Brush Foundation. So like 2 years after my injury, I found the Kelly Brush Foundation. It's an adaptive sports foundation where basically you can apply if you have a spinal cord injury and you want to get one of those pieces of equipment. They're like, anywhere is between, it depends on what it is, but it's either like $4,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. Like, it's all these pieces of equipment are so expensive, and the average person who's disabled is on like disability. So it's like you're gonna literally take half of their yearly income so they can get this piece of equipment, and it's like, no, you still. It's their mission is to make people active. That's the main thing, and you do get, as soon as you're active, it's amazing how it changes your life. After the 2 years that I was like kind of in recovery, I was really not doing much other than just going to the gym whenever I could. But going out and doing an adaptive sport was like this whole nother level of just, I have something to look forward to, especially in the wintertime with my skiing. It's like being in the winter out here sucks no matter what. If you don't have a hobby to do in the wintertime, you are just miserable in your house doing nothing. And having something, and especially being in a wheelchair, I don't know what's plowed. I don't know if there's going to be ice everywhere. I don't know if this business is going to be accessible to me because of all the snow that's on the ground. So it's cool to have something that you know for a fact that you can get around. And go have fun, get moving.
Yeah, that's an important part. And yeah, I mean, I think kind of wrapping this up is just moving around is just so good. Like people thought I was crazy because I did a lot of running, and I would tell them I was like, I'm doing about anywhere from 15 to 20,000 steps a day. And they're like, so where do you go? And I was like, I put a yoga mat in front of my TV and I just run back and forth. I'm already in the living room watching TV.
Yeah.
Might as well just run back and forth and just getting miles in, A lot of it started, I was working remote and I would sit there at my job and I would just walk back and forth. Don't need a lot. So getting in the treadmill for the first time was a little weird because it was like,
that's
whoa,
interesting.
I'm not setting the tempo here.
Love it. Well, all right. That's a cool little pod. Yeah, we'll see. Do you have anything to plug? Or like, I'm trying to think of in the future when we'll post this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think too much going on. I mean, honestly, we just kind of wanted to kind of catch up real quick and touch base and talk about some of the things that we've been up to. We appreciate all of the support, with the videos that we've been releasing over the last month. And we hope it continues. We've got some really great stuff in store, and we're gonna keep rolling with this momentum. So I hope everybody stays tuned. But yeah, I don't know if you had anything else you want to talk about.
I just make sure to like and subscribe, guys. That really helps us out. Other than that, Ellen, comment something.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to comment.
And our biggest thing that we are aspiring to do between gigging and doing things here is getting out to people's shows.
Yeah.
So we hope to see you at one of your shows or
send in your flyers.
Else's. Yes.
Send in your flyers. DM us on Instagram, and if you have a flyer, we'll post it. Like if you're local around here, we'll post it.
And I mean, honestly, one of the easiest ways. Shout out to Grown Ups.
Yes.
They just tag us in their post. And when that happens, it just immediately goes into our inbox, and we could just throw it on top of our story. So that makes it really easy for us to do it that way. And I mean, it goes back to just community, everybody working together and supporting one another. So yeah, we hope to see a lot more.
Yeah, I remember before we started doing this, I would text you because anything going on today, like what is going on? It's hard to find like a localized place to where you can find a bunch of music. Like, where's the live music going to be? It would be nice if you could just go, oh, we're going to hop on Our Friends story and see what's going on for this weekend. That would be my mission. So send it in, guys.
All right.
Other than that, we'll wrap it up. We got some cool stuff coming, like probably now.